Hello there, my name is Kyle, and in a move that they are pretty much guaranteed to regret, Sweetwater and I have teamed up in order to share a brand new high gain pedal with you guys from the folks over at Universal Audio. The Knuckles 92 Rev F Dual Rectifier Amplifier. And I'm gonna show you how to get 3 classic rectifier tones using just this pedal. Here we go. Alright, so hope everybody is doing great out there today. I know that I am because today is New Gear Day. The folks at Universal Audio have released yet another high quality amplifier and a box style pedal, and that is the Knuckles that we are checking out here today. And as the name of the pedal would suggest, it's supposed to be a rectifier style pedal. But it's not just any rectifier pedal, because Universal Audio went out and tracked down a Revision F rectifier in order to build the emulation of this pedal around. And if you're not familiar with all of the rectifier lore, there are a couple highly sought after early revisions of the rectifier that came before the Revision G, which is the mass-produced version of the 2-channel rectifier from the 90s. And the Revision F is kind of the one that everybody thinks about when they think about those early revisions of the rectifier amps. Most people who have played a Revision F say that there's just something special about that early revision. It's a little bit tighter, it's a little bit more aggressive than the Rev G that came after it, but it is still very, very much that quintessential rectifier, thick, gritty, wall of sound tone that you come to think of. It has what some of us like to call the booty. And as with all of Universal Audio's amp modulation pedals, this thing comes with some extras. It's essentially an all-in-one solution because you have not only a built-in noise gate with adjustable parameters, but you also get 2 separate boost pedals that are built into this as well. So you can dial your dream rectifier tones in without having to have any external pedals or tools to do so. Now, one of the things that I personally love about Universal Audio's amp pedals is that they don't just model the preamp, or they don't just kind of take like an approximation of the amp. They actually model the amp from front to back. And what I mean by that is they model the preamp and the power amp. And for anybody who's a rectifier fan out there, you will know that the power amp is a big, big part of that rectifier sound. It's a very unique sounding power amp that was designed around the preamp in the original rectifiers. And if you don't have that power amp modeling, then you're not gonna get the rectifier tone. So on top of that incredibly accurate modeling and on top of the built-in goodies, we also have 6 impulse responses over here in the cab section with the ability to totally bypass them. And then we also have the ability to not only hook this up either via the mono and stereo inputs and outputs, but we can also hook this pedal up via a 4-cable method that will essentially bypass the preamp of whatever amplifier you're using and essentially insert this in place of your amp's preamp. So it basically adds an entire extra amplifier into the effects loop of your existing amplifier. And that is cool beans. So with that poorly done overview of the features out of the way, it's time to dig in and shred your eardrums. So I've created 3 presets on the Knuckles pedal, and these 3 presets kind of encompass or showcase the rectifier tones that I personally think about when I think of the rectifier. Now, a lot of people have colored the rectifier as a one-trick pony. It is not that at all. There are a ton of different tonal variations available within the rectifier, and therefore there are actually more than one signature rectifier style tone. Take a drink every time I say rectifier. But we are gonna start off with the most obvious, and that is just that big, scoopy, sizzly wall of sound that is the Rectifier red channel. This is the sound that made the amp popular in the early 90s when all the new metal bands were starting to emerge and using this amplifier. And for most of the old farts out there, this is the tone that you think of when you think of the Rectifier. Alright, so that was kind of the scoopy, sizzly, new metal tone, and in order to get that tone from the knuckles, we were using the red channel, which is the most modern and most aggressive channel on the Rectifier. And because of the negative feedback circuit of the amp, when utilizing that channel, it kind of removes a lot of that mid content, so it sounds scoopy, which in turn accentuates the low and high frequencies because of how much mids are being removed. And that's why you get the massive low end with the very sizzly top end and the mid scoop on that channel. Next up, we are gonna go for basically just a thick and full general rock tone. Alright, so as you guys can tell, very significant differences between the first tone that we dialed in and that tone. Mainly because that tone sounded like it needed to blow its nose real bad. So for that thick rock and roll tone that we were using there, we were utilizing the orange channel, which on the Rectifier series, the orange channel in the vintage mode is just a very, very open in the mids style channel. And there is a lot of flexibility in the EQ and everything, but it's got less low end. The mids are much more prominent and the top end aggression is rolled back quite a bit. And I think that all those things are pretty much immediately noticeable when you compare the red channel on the modern setting to the orange channel on the vintage setting. So last but not least, and my personal favorite, the Rectifier has made a bit of a resurgence lately for more modern metal tones. So that's what we're gonna do next. so as you can tell, huge difference from the first two tones that we checked out. This is much tighter, much more immediate sounding and feeling, a lot more of an upper mid bite and aggression, and overall more saturation. So the way that you achieve that tone is by using the built-in TC boost in the knuckles pedal. Over the last few years, TC integrated preamp style overdrives in front of rectifiers have become insanely popular, especially for much more modern tones than the rectifier on its own is typically capable of. So when you pair the TC boost with a solid rectifier emulation, you get gnarly. And so we were utilizing the red channel on the knuckles with the built-in TC boost in front of the pedal. And that's it. So I think I have made my case for not only the rectifier being a more versatile amplifier, even in the high gain space, than it is kind of given credit for, but I have also made the case for the Universal Audio Knuckles being a solid recreation of a real deal rectifier. And as you can see right here, I'm not some no rectifier having chud. So that is gonna do it for me today, guys. Again, my name is Kyle. If you like E-standard thrashers, dropsy hardcore riffs, and dudes with a suboptimal amount of leg hair, make sure to head on over to my YouTube channel where I do lots of stuff very similar to this. Thank you for checking out my video here on the Sweetwater channel. And of course, if you want to pick up the Universal Audio Knuckles 92 Rev F dual rectifier amplifier pedal fire, you know where to get it. Head on over to the fine folks at Sweetwater, whip out that credit card, and make a bad decision, why don't you? Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Yeah, I don't know how you guys want to end this. Sorry, so I'm just gonna leave it like this.